gives me great pleasure to have right here in my body shop the new Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Randy Macho Man Savage. I love it, Randy.
Beautiful baby, Jesse the Body Ventura. Everybody welcome the new Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of the world. And this is real bad news for Hulk Hogan, yeah, because this is my passport to the world title. And Tito Santana, too bad, baby.
You know, Macho, let's let him in on the plan. We knew that if it wouldn't be you, it would be me. One of us was going to tack Tito to the wall. Macho Man, I'm so happy and so proud for you. We finally got a champion that all the kids can look up to.
Yeah, absolutely total control right there. Watch this. Yeah. Elizabeth, stare into the video scope right now and tell them who the new Intercontinental Champion of the world is.
Oh, well, you are Macho Man.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm going to let you hold the belt. What a thrill. Ain't that something? Changed my mind, Jesse the Body. Get out of here.
Hey, that's a champion's prerogative, Macho Man.
Champion's prerogative, and I just exercised that option. And Tito Santana, I want you to take a look at this, because this belt never meant so much as it does right now. And any crying or any excuses is just sour grapes.
Hello and welcome to OSW Review, the old school wrestling video podcast, chronicling the entire Hulkamania era of the WWF pay-per-view by pay-per-view, filmed in glorious grapple vision. This is your host Jay Hunter, and today we'll be reviewing the showdown between WWF champion Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy in a steel cage. This is WrestleMania 2. Okay, before we run down WrestleMania 2, let's recap where we are on the timeline and what happened leading up to the pay-per-view's main events. Last time on OSW Review, we had the Wrestling Classic in November 1985. That same month, we saw the original Screwjob, when Wendy Richter got screwed out of the women's title. As the story goes, Wendy Richter was the WWF Ladies Champion, but was yet to resign with the WWF. Vince McMahon decided that they gotta get the belt off her ASAP, so one day, November 25th, Richter shows up for the MSG house show. She sees the fabulous Moolah backstage, which was odd since she wasn't on the call sheet and never showed up for events that she wasn't booked on. Anyway, she gets to the ring, and her opponent is the masked Spider Lady, aka the fabulous Moolah.
Shot now by the champion. Clothesline by Wendy. Down goes the Spider. One count. Nope. Spider going. Oh, small package. Nicely executed. Whoa, was that close? What was that?
Spider Lady breaks from the script and pins her to the mat. Even though it was only a 1 count, the ref counts 3, and there you have it, Richter was screwed, and Spider Lady, aka the fabulous Moolah, is now the women's champion. Wendy's pissed and keeps going after Moolah, tearing her mask off. After the match, Richter left the arena in her gear and got a cab to the airport and left wrestling for good. It stayed that way until WrestleMania 25, when she was broached to be in the Divas Battle Royal, but she was smart enough to decline. They say 25 years heals all wounds, as she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2010 by Roddy Piper. Fast forward to Saturday night's main event, aired March 1st, 1986, so roughly a month before WrestleMania. It was Bob Orton and Mr. T in a boxing match. Piper gets involved and the two beat down T, leading to a boxing match between Piper and Mr. T at WrestleMania 2. On the same show, Don Muraco faced Hulk Hogan for the WWF title, where Bundy gets involved and injures Hogan. The Hulkster was stretchered out with injured ribs. From then on until WrestleMania 2, Hogan was out of action, keeping up appearances only via training vignettes showing his taped ribs. This will all culminate at WrestleMania 2 with a steel cage match between Hulk Hogan and King Kong Bundy for the WWF title.
WrestleMania 2, what the world has come to.
And WrestleMania 2, ladies and gentlemen,
emanated from 3 different locations, from Los Angeles, from Chicago, and from New York. And moments from now, we will take you to the New York setting.
All right, let's do it to it. Grammar, that is. Let's get WrestleMania 2 underway. Alright, welcome to OSW Review. This is the only wrestling video podcast in the world, so yeah, we're number 1. How'd you like that?
I love it.
Yeah?
I'm number 1.
The greatest video podcast of wrestling in the world today.
By default.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 2, what the world has come to.
Okay, so today we're covering WrestleMania 2. So this is your host Jay Hunter, and I'm joined here today with Mr. OSC.
Yep.
And Neil.
Hello.
And here comes a new challenger. Fiona!
Alright, lads, what's up?
Alright, Joanna, great to have you on board, Steve.
Thanks very much, guys.
Before we start the pay-per-view, I want to mention that one of us hasn't watched the pay-per-view, so see if you can guess which one. Be a prize at the end. So we're finally at WrestleMania 2, April 7th, 1986. This is not held at traditionally at one arena. This is at 3 arenas. Part 1 in the Nassau Coliseum in New York. Part 2, Rosemont Horizon in Rosemont in Chicago, Illinois. And Part 3 in the LA Sports Arena in Los Angeles, California. So, yeah, how do you like that? 3 arenas, 1 show. What do you think?
Terrible idea, but obviously they figured it was a terrible idea and didn't do it again. But now the question is, I assume there's going to be, say, 8-9 matches in each arena. Televised
dark,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what
That
I mean.
makes sense. I don't see 12
Can you
dark
imagine
matches, yeah.
paying like $200 for a front row WrestleMania seat, and you go there and you get 1/3 of a card?
It wasn't that bad. They had a television where you could watch the other 2/3 of the pay-per-view.
You couldn't do that at home, obviously.
No, not a good idea.
Not a good idea at all.
If you're on the West Coast feed, actually, in the LA Sports Arena, you actually got to see the 3rd part live, and then the first 2 parts after that on tape delay. What do you think of that?
Riveting stuff.
Okay, so we see the opening video, and the fucking picture quality is like the 70s. I'm watching the Silver Vision release. Steve, you did as well, and you guys watched the WWE Anthology?
Yeah, I watched the Anthology version.
Okay, so we got 2 Silver Vision, 2 Anthology.
You know what decade you're in with a nice sax solo at the start.
That is right. I have jazz sex music written there, because that is exactly what I thought of. Did anyone notice Vince's awesome velvet smoking jacket?
I did not.
It was wonderful.
I'll have to say that we'll probably have to refer you guys a lot of times, because I remember telling you, it's only a 2-hour pay-per-view, and I looked on the DVD and it's like 1:53. How long was your pay-per-view?
I think it was like just over 3 hours. It was like 3:01, 3:02.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I'm missing over an hour of footage. That's awesome.
I was going to say again.
Yeah, so when I throw between matches, like I can tell because like they're hard cuts. Every time I go to a new match, the bell rings, bang, the ring bells for the next match. Like,
Yeah.
So I must be missing something out here. Like,
You'd be shocked.
well,
Surprisingly little. During the intro of the whole show, Mean Gene was on the microphone and he said, "Welcome folks to WrestleMania 2. You can cut the electricity with a knife."
Yeah.
And I immediately said, "I'm not kill you."
That's right.
Very good.
That's
very
not
good.
smart, like.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, the prelude actually to the match, you know, they're having already some major sound problems, because even Ray Charles basically is brought in to sing America.
Yeah.
I
He
didn't
starts
see Ray Charles.
singing.
Really? He didn't see himself
Sing America, he's actually started singing and you can't hear anything. So automatically you're like, oh my god, we're in for something.
Yeah, it's basically just feedback and static. But they do have the usual WrestleMania American propaganda bullshit video,
Yeah.
which, you know, jets flying,
Yeah, and-
soldiers taking
and speaking
shots.
about that is that it goes through, and you know, the classic scenes, you know, and it goes to the White House. The White House gets a big pop, and then it shows Martin Luther King, it's showing JFK, and at the end it actually has Hulk Hogan with like glitter and sparks around him, as if like he is the most amazing figure of all figures. Like, so automatically you can see how Vince is, you know, as I said in WrestleMania 1, building this entire franchise around him, that he is the most important icon in America right now.
Yeah,
so
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Alright, Orndorff and Muraco with Mr. Fuji is, at the very start, I'm thinking, who are these commentators? Because we hear Vince talking, and then two random men talk about the match, and it's like, oh, you're not commentators. That was Orndorff and Muraco talking.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
They dubbed over the audio, but not the video promo package, so it's just them talking.
In my version, I think we actually got to see the video, and I just started giving out saying, why on earth would you show a pre-match promo during a match? It makes no sense. I can't concentrate on either, really, you know?
Who is this Susan that's commentating with Vince McMahon?
Susan St.
There was a ballet in the Wrestling Classic called Susan. Is she the one that got groped by Laura Alfred Hayes? It turns out later, we get to see her later, she was a brunette.
She didn't have a clue about wrestling or anything.
So WrestleMania 2 is taking place from 3 different arenas, New York, Chicago and LA, and we get 3 sets of commentators. So the first time around we get Vince and Susan St. Clair.
See, we both got a promo by Piper. Before
a racist promo.
Yeah, oh my god, I actually wrote that down. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't shave myself like an Indian and paint myself black. We have 2 terrible promos where literally Mean Gene goes straight over to Mr. T, and he's already halfway through the promo and it cuts over. So he's like halfway through speaking, talking, and you have no idea what's going on, and you can see them struggling with the time, and straight away then they're over to Piper. So it's completely out of control. Like the whole editing process, they've already lost control of it. So this is even before you're actually getting the Orndorff match. So we had that.
Wow. You know, Silver Vision, they don't have any WWE logos, and I'd assume that they were the same from 1985 or 86. So just to get a contrasting look of what they're putting out now and how it was originally released on VHS.
But this promo would get them kicked off TV.
Yeah.
It was holy shit.
It's the most racist thing you ever heard.
I wouldn't paint myself black.
And I don't go around. I shave myself
my head
like an Indian.
The damn Indians.
Okay, Orndorff Muraco, a match for the ages. Vince says, this is no physique contest. Historically, WWF has always been about physique, so yeah, shut up. Any thoughts on the match?
First of all, it was shit. It was very short, and it had a very unsatisfactory ending, being the double count out. But just both of these guys were ginormous. Don Muraco looked like he was bulging out of his skin, and I just made the note that if you painted this guy green, he is the real Hulk. Like, he is the image of him. He is. The lighting was so awful. It was like you can see the ring and these two, and then maybe give it like a draw distance of about 5 feet, and then just blackness. Like, couldn't see the crowd, couldn't see anything, you couldn't see the arena.
Okay, so the finish of the match, Orndorff starts off strong until they schmoz outside. So we get the finish of the match, just the bell rings, and we get a double count out.
Boo!
Yep, Vince plays dumb as the crowd chant bullshit, which they didn't dub out.
The same on my version, you can hear the bullshit chants.
There's a few interesting things about even the commentary. Commentary by Susan St. James, it is absolutely ridiculous. She hardly says anything, and if you actually start counting, all she says is you know, Fuji. She's like, oh, it looks like Orndorff's using some ancient Chinese moves. I'm pretty sure, you know, Fuji's Japanese.
There was an incomprehensible Mr. T promo. I didn't have a clue what he said, but on the good side, he did have a midget beside him. We were left hanging for the MC to get up and announce a double count out. Like, as the Mr. T promo was going on, you can hear the ring announcer in the background.
Yeah. And yet he's announcing it over Mr. T's promo. And as you said, you actually don't know what the decision is. You're like, it's just completely muffled, and you're like, well, what was that? So you already have this whole thing about time constraints already, that everything's been rushed. It's like, come on, on to the next match, you know. So it's kind of unpleasant to watch. Like, there's no tempo being set already.
It was really bad.
It's very like Reaction, you know, an Impact, where they'll actually talk to RVD backstage and they'll have someone else's theme going on in the background, you know. George Steele versus Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth. So Macho was the IC champion, So Macho actually won it 2 months ago at a live event in Boston where he beat Santana. It was great. So I had to actually pause it and have a look and YouTube it. Well, you got to go to those house shows. George Steele here used to be a heel under Captain Lou, but he turned face in 1984. It was the first WWF pay-per-view appearance for him. Yeah, nice payday. And just Macho Man was fresh in from Memphis, where he had a big feud with Lawler. And now here he is in the WWF in the big time. So, what do you think of the match, V1?
I thought it was pretty much a nothing match. I think the two most noticeable points were I thought Liz was really pretty for back in the day, and Macho Man cut a promo and called himself, and I quote, the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of the World. What the fuck is that? Seriously, lads, that's like 3 different belts in one or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, basically this match, Macho Man ran away for 2 minutes. Macho Man bumped for flowers.
It was great.
I marked out to that. And there was a camera shot of his arse for at least 20 seconds that I was having none of it as his calf was getting bitten.
Here's something we don't see every day. It's some mind games in-ring pre-match. A lot of stalling, jumping outside the ring, pointing, that kind of thing. And yellow chairs that don't fold. I'm going to hit you with a chair that doesn't fold. How about that?
You got him a mattress, like.
That was basically it. So more chasing. It was terrible. It was absolutely awful. What was this all about?
Yeah, Susan St. Clair, such insightful comments is, come on, George, and he may not be smart, but he has respect for women.
Yeah, that's
I fucking bet he doesn't. He's an animal. Of course he doesn't. How do you find the eat the turnbuckle spot?
Well, I didn't know that they were full of polystyrene balls. That's for sure. But a bit weird. Like that. It's a bit of an odd thing to do in the match.
So we get the Valentine JYD finish from WrestleMania 1, where Savage shoots on Steele and gets the penetration pin with legs on the second row. Steve's favourite.
Yeah, coming after Jay's favourite, where Savage had hit the elbow drop and was about to get the 3 pin, and Vince says, we're going to have a 3 count as he kicks out at 2. What is that?
That's the first instance of that.
WrestleMania, he's introduced as the IC champion to the world stage, and Steele kicks out of his finisher, so that's not good.
Yeah. Alright, so did you get any interviews after the match?
There was an in-ring interview between Big John Studd and some NFL douchebag where this promo was going nowhere. Both guys were falling over their words, and it was pretty much saved by Mean Gene just being such a pro. He had no charisma, he had no nothing, and Big John Studd really wasn't a good enough promo to make it into anything. It was bad.
He calls him classless. Oh, he's a footballer. He's got no class. The wrestler says he has no class.
And the funny thing about it is that, again, because of the audio problems, they're actually announcing something as they're actually cutting the promo. And the footballer, during the middle of the promo, or Big John's is like right up in his face, trying to cut a real promo. In the background, you see Mean Gene panicking because he knows he's running out of time. And the footballer is actually looking away and trying to focus in on actually what they're announcing, so he's not even listening. So it's so obvious that none of this is actually going on, and the whole time you'll see Mean Gene panicking to try and stop them talking so he can get a segment in to go back to the studio, basically.
Okay, so we cut to heel Jake Roberts in his first WrestleMania appearance versus the George Wells, the face. Wells looked so bland I could have sworn he was Virgil.
The Ziggler himself.
Jake Roberts, he was in World Class, feuding with the Von Erichs before moving to Mid-South and then on to the WWF. And George Wells apparently had a great Canadian football career that I refuse to look up.
Well, if it was in the CFL, it couldn't have been that good. That's like saying that you play for Pats and you're, a top of the class footballer. That's
much less. People will know that analogy.
Okay, how about Sligo then?
All right. Any notes from the match? No.
Again, I suppose I want to keep going on with the commentary, but this is another one of these matches. Yeah. George, blah blah blah, and a lot of show some nice moves before finishing them off. Direct quote from Susan there. And again, mess, absolute mess.
We saw a jumping head scissors by Wells. We don't see it that much these days until Mystico actually. He's breaking it out, so we're returning to jumping head scissors.
Yeah, actually, I noted about that. Actually, a nice head scissors.
There was one laughable leapfrog spot by Roberts where he looked like something out of Tough Enough. He looked like he nearly like necked himself coming off it, and Wells, like the other men of the darker complexion, had a hard head, like many spots in WrestleMania 1, as Vince likes to overbook with his foreigners and the headbutt spot.
Very much
Holy
so.
crap, like.
Alright, just move on to the finish where Jake hits that's the maneuver, aka they didn't call it the DDT. It must have not been called that yet. Which Wells takes a back bump. Thanks very much.
Wow.
Float over, sexy pin by Jake Roberts into another, and gets the 3 in another nothing match. So this is jobber squash match. I could actually swear Susan actually hisses when she sees the snake, though.
Yeah,
like there's a hiss. Somebody hisses.
There is. I think it was her actually.
Triple H doing his pose in the background somewhere, was he?
Jake wraps the snake around the throat of Wells as the commentators sell it, and Wells actually froths up the middle.
Yeah.
I actually thought that Wells sold the snake really well.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the best part of the match, like, was the after-match antics.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then commentary from Vince, Jake the Snake, it was the first time you hear this, continues his undefeated streak.
That's correct. Yeah.
He's 1-0.
Yeah. So you heard it there first and last.
Him and Michael Cole, like.
Just another gem from Susan here. He puts the snake and wraps it around George Wells' neck there. I just hope if Jake ever loses, somebody does this to him. This is really... That's it. Like.
Insightful, I think she was looking for, was it?
Is there any pre-match interviews?
Basically, we got Jesse and Hogan in LA, yeah.
I have, there was a Roddy Piper and Mr. T promo.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a face-to-face one, and it's the first thing I noticed. I just couldn't unsee it. Mr. T wearing big dirty gas shorts. They were like horrible red ball stranglers on him. They were horrendous. And he cut a bad promo. Then Bob Orton interferes, says nothing of note, and then one other thing I noticed is Roddy Piper, like Cody Rhodes, doesn't wear knee pads. Just random factoid. And they don't make him look as skinny as Cody Rhodes does either.
So Mr. T versus Piper. Is that, when you were giving out about Mr. T, was that the one where he has his mate who's rubbing him hard from the back, like?
The storyline was he had basically a small guy that actually Roddy shaved his hair apparently, but then he's actually got Smoking Joe Frazier, you know. So again, you know, just a kind of comment in, is like, what's the point of this match? Like, it's boxing, so are they still trying to live off on the Rocky franchise, where if you actually think about what Mr. T's doing at the moment, he would be in his penultimate season of the A-Team. So I'm wondering, is this some way of, you know, kind of, you know, ensuring his kind of future popularity, or trying to work out just what the point of this match is, because Mr. T has no boxing background apart from Rocky. He's actually an amateur wrestling background, so it's interesting that Vince is continuing to promote this kind of whole boxing angle. So it's really Roddy Piper versus Clubber Lang, really, is what we're seeing here.
That's pretty awesome, actually. They should have just promoted it.
Yeah, it would have been much better.
So we get 10 rounds of boxing. Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
3-minute rounds.
At this point, it kind of hit me like a smack in the face that not one wrestler had entrance music.
Did you get entrances, did you?
We actually got to see most of the entrances, and I'm pretty sure Hogan was the only one to have any music at all. Mr. T came out with his midget and Joe Frazier, and they were doing the Gracie train, which is when they all walk out with their arms on their shoulders. And the Gracie family said that they invented that in 1993, so they're full of shit.
Were they in play school? Bit of red light, green light.
Had Joan Rivers coming out to basically introduce the whole match. And what's interesting is she actually had to read from cards. You know, it was so hard to remember a couple of names. I just thought, like, you know, look, she is a stand-up comedian. How can she not remember these people? And, you know, she goes through and introduces all the special guest judges, and, you know, you have Cap Holloway, you know, Chief Gordon Liddy, you know, Herb the timekeeper. Like, who cares? Like, you know, why are we even watching this piece of crap match? It took 13 minutes of our time, you know.
Round one, it didn't look too bad at all. You could almost believe it was a shoot. So both just trade shots.
Yeah.
You know, both are poor boxers, but it looks real.
I actually felt pretty much the same, that they did a good job of making it look like they hated each other, and like they were really boxing.
Okay, so round two, Piper knocks down T twice and attacks T in his corner afterwards, and Susan drops a Why would he do that? He's already winning.
Yeah.
He's a fucking heel.
Did you notice that between round 1 and round 2, the referee got in Piper's face about putting too much Vaseline on?
That's
so
right.
It was,
Swipe
Vaseline gate. I thought that was really, really cool. Since there's been a lot of this in UFC since.
Oh yeah.
About fighters complaining about other fighters putting on too much Vaseline and baby oil.
Is that just if you punch them,
It'll slip?
Slip on.
Punch slips.
Why
pretty
don't
smart.
they just have a rule with no Vaseline at all?
Because you have to have Vaseline because it cuts down on cuts. How ironic.
Yeah. So round 3, T knocks down Piper twice, including Piper falling out of the ring. Alright, this probably doesn't happen in boxing ever.
No.
Does it? Would that be the end of a match?
But even knocking the gum shield out, they never would let that go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Like, he would have to put it back in. They just literally, it's funny, you see the ref picked it up and just thrown it like.
Oh, just before round 4, Piper throws a tiny chair at T.
That was funny.
That was great. And round 4, so both men have their hands down, they both slug it out, and they're both gassed, and throw obviously...
Oh, Mr. T gassed in round 2, Jay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really badly.
Like, every round got progressively worse, and, like, kayfabe was being shattered a little bit, but by round 4, it was obvious that both men were just throwing work punches, and they missed by a mile, but they'd sell it anyway, so it turned out to be a pile of shite. Like.
Bit of a half bump.
Finish of the match was Piper pushes the ref down and slams Mr. T, but the ref sees it, gets DQ'd, and they have a big brawl. So.
And one thing I did notice is that Vince actually commentates better as a boxing commentator than he does as a wrestling commentator.
I think he's a big boxing fan.
Yeah, he was actually able to call every single move, southpaw, jab, anything you could think of. He actually didn't make one mistake. I can't say the same obviously.
Vince's grandfather, Vince McMahon Senior, he was a boxing promoter. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Overall, other than the really bad finish, I thought this was a pretty good match. I thought that they made it look believable. It was entertaining. The ring girl before round 4 had an awesome arse.
Yeah. I didn't get to see that.
We actually missed out too, and Vince does make a comment that we actually finally got to see the ring girls. So obviously they had made some mistakes there. He actually admits himself in the commentary that they just couldn't get in the camera work. From
watching it and seeing how badly Mr. T gassed out, and his kind of gimmick was that he's a real tough guy, hard man. From watching this, if this was a real fight, Piper would murder him. He would have shot on him and destroyed him. Like
something that he started off with, that made you think, is that he did these like really fast punches,
body punches.
Yeah, and the Undertaker used to do that as well. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the New York portion of the show. So we got a double count out. Savage stealing the pin. No, anyone? He steals the pin. Fuck's sake. Jake Roberts wins in a nothing match, and we get a DQ schmoz in an awful work. Boxing match. Oh, so poor New York. Alright, let's move on to the Chicago portion in Rosemont Horizon in Illinois.
We go to the commentators for the Los Angeles section, and there is another lady commentating, and she says in her first line of the whole show, she admits this is her first time to ever watch wrestling. What the fuck?
So
this is the right time to start WrestleMania.
And again, you're in the 80s again when you're wearing a chrome jumpsuit. So that's because Buck Rogers called, he wants his clothes back. So that's Kathy Lee Crosby. Have no idea who she is.
Commentators for tonight: Gorilla Monsoon, thank God. Kathy Lee Crosby, who?
That's her name.
And Mean Gene. So that's pretty cool. We don't really hear him on commentary. As previously mentioned, Spider Lady Moolah had the belt since screwing Richter out of it in the original Screwjob back in November.
Velvet McIntyre was introduced as being from Cork.
From Cork? She's from Cork?
Yeah. Are you serious?
That was
the lovely Irish lass. Like,
that's what we were kind of perked up. We're like, no, what's this about? And then, it's over.
Velvet McIntyre is wearing swimming togs that look like a nightie, and I thought that was kind of hot. She's not wearing...
Did you also think her mullet was hot? Like?
In 1985...
And being barefoot, like...
Yeah, she's barefoot. Something tells me she's not a shoot fighter. No. So, any thoughts about this 53-second match?
I can give you my very first thought. It went ding, ding, ding. oh God, here we go. I thought that it was actually better than what I thought it was going to be, in a sense that it wasn't botch followed by botch. I thought that Moolah did a couple of nice snapmares, but unfortunately she did about 12 of them, and by the time you got to 4 or 5, it kind of lost its impact. Velvet McIntyre got the heat and her comeback and lost via pin in less than a minute. Like, you know, this is WrestleMania. This is meant to be the big show of the year, and I don't know, it didn't really come across as much.
There is an awkward finish as McIntyre misses the big splash, and it was good work from the cameraman, bit of booby there. And Moolah has a chat / pins her for the win in under a minute. Not all doom and gloom. McIntyre would hold the Ladies Championship for a 6-day stint while WWF toured Australia later in the year.
Oh,
so, there you go.
There we go. So Sheamus is not the first ever Irish-born champion.
No.
What do you think of that?
Go.
Yeah.
It was Maureen McCreevy. Her foot was on the ropes or something, because they kind of zoomed in for the 2 and 3, and I was like, because she had her foot on the ropes on 1. So
God.
Maybe it was
remedy
a bit of a Chicago screw job.
Oh God, is that Moolah's gimmick? Like every month she just like politics and wins the belt. Like wow.
Politics, screw job, botch.
the trifecta. Like
okay, so next we got a flag match.
Oh yeah,
Nikolai Volkoff with Freddie Blassie versus Corporal Kirchner representing the USA. So. First thing I noted was, fuck, Kathy Lee's staying on commentary. To be fair, she's no Susan St. Clair, you know, she's actually better. So, what are the chances the non-American will win this match at WrestleMania?
Classic heat, you know, sing the national anthem.
I love that gimmick, lads. I think
it gets
great.
Over.
Classic
right,
heat, yeah.
And next time they've got a French wrestler, they have to give him that gimmick. I love the French national anthem. I think it's awesome.
They could call them the demi-baguettes. You know?
Oh yeah.
So, did you like Volkoff's tights? They're almost up to his armpits. It was amazing.
Wearing the granties, like.
Volkoff bites Kirchner in the forehead and is busted open from it. In the ring, then flails his arm and the ref takes a bump. Blassie throws in the cane, but it's intercepted by Kirchner, who uses it and then gets the 3 count. Hang on, no time for a Rock Shamrock Series 98 reference where it's the exact same finish. But there was a pinfall in a flag match.
Isn't that always how a flag match goes? You've got to win to put your flag, or do you win by putting your flag up?
My first flag match was in 97, and it was Bret Hart Patriot, and they had them on a pole, and it's like whoever gets on the pole and takes down the flag, you get to wave the flag and maybe the national anthem or whatever. So yeah, pinfall here, and surely both of them came out with their flags, so you can have the flag whenever you want it, you know?
That's it.
I thought this match was a complete waste of time. Corporal Kirchner was ripped as well. He was a big riding monkey as well. This 20-man battle royal, guys, this was money.
So we got another wrestler versus other sport match with whoever will show up in Chicago. So OSC, your favourite, the special guest timekeeper.
Yeah. Who have we got this time, Jay?
Claire Pillar, she found the beef. It was in the stove. She stands up and her mic doesn't work. It would help if you put it up to your mouth. Like,
do us a favour, don't turn it on.
Special guest ref is Dick Butkus.
What an awesome name, by the way.
Good.
It's amazing.
He must have married Gaylord Butkus. And he's coming into the ring, and no, he stays outside. So, and same with Ed
Ali.
Too Tall Jones.
That's who I heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Ali
Too
and
Tall.
anyone.
Refrigerator.
Okay, so contestants in this 20-man Battle Royal Invitational, mind you. Jimbo Covert, Pedro Morales, not yet Saba Simba, Tony Atlas, Ted Arcidi, the world's strongest man.
The state of him. He's tiny. I actually went out of my way to make note on Ted Arcidi, the world's most average man. It's like so what you take a slightly bigger than average guy and whack a weightlifting belt on him and he's the world's strongest man. Like no, I'm having none of that.
I'll put him in a feud with David Sammartino.
and Dino Bravo. He used to have that gimmick. Yeah,
that's true. Then we have Harvey Martin from Dallas Cowboys, Golden Boy Dan Spivey, who I know that looked a lot like Austin did in WCW, and one of your favourites. He went on to be the much unknown but fucking awesome gimmick, Waylon Mercy.
Yeah. How long does that last? Like 2 months?
Even,
amazing vignettes.
I've no memory of that.
It's amazing. Like he kind of looks like a thin-haired Paul Heyman at this point, but no, it's a great gimmick. He is a Southern gentleman, but he's a vicious heel. So he'd talk politely to you and low, and then he'd murder you. Like
the guy in The Simpsons with the glove smack, like. not even close. I challenge you to a duel, Spivey.
He's dressed in all white as well.
See, I told you I was close.
Hillbilly Jim,
who was huge still, ripped.
King Tonga, aka Haku. The Iron Sheik, Ernie Holmes from the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Killer Bees, Brian B. Blair, and Jumpin' Jim from...
I love that gimmick. I wonder what they are.
Is there any wrestler that's gotten over by being called Jumpin'? Like,
whoa, your boy.
Jumpin' Jeff Farmer.
That's the one. Yep.
Big John Studd, Bill Frelick, from the Atlanta Falcons, Russ Francis from the San Francisco 49ers, Bruno Sammartino, and William Perry, Refrigerator himself, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Fuck me, they weren't wearing pink. They were still in blue.
Yeah, what's that all about? Blue and black, like.
It's weird to see, isn't it?
And did you ever hear the story about that? Where he'd go to the costume department in WWE and it said, like, what have you got for me? And she'd be like, oh, I got this hot pink. And he's like, no, that's alright. And so come back a few months later, be bored with his blue or his red or whatever. And like, what have you got for me? Oh, I've got this hot pink. I was like, no. So he comes back a couple of months later, what have you got for me? Oh, I got this hot pink. He's like, yeah, alright.
You never get a new stock. Like.
That's amazing.
So you can thank costume designers in WWE for the pink and black.
Did you say WWE or TK Maxx?
So just finish that off. Andre the Giant coming out last. How did you like his Hulk Hogan attire?
Oh, the aura's Jamaican me crazy. Like he looked awful.
Actually, Dan Spivey actually had the full Hulkamania gear and the silken blonde hair of a Chinese man.
Because there's loads of blonde Chinese.
Yeah, there is.
It's amazing.
Triple H would have none of that. Imagine, like, if Hulk Hogan, if he was in Chicago, he'd be like, oh, this guy's just wearing his outfit, in a different size. Like, but I've got the hair, I've got the tights, and so does Andre. Anyway,
I just like, hey brother, I'm thinking of taking the night off. I just fill in for me.
Alright, I noticed that the special guests and entrances, the only real entrance I got to see besides Hogan, lasted 7 minutes, and the Battle Royal was 9 minutes. So. Any thoughts on the match at all?
It was alright. The fans were into it. It was, outside of Hogan, definitely got some of the biggest pops of the night. Someone at some point made the comment that there was a combined £5,612 in this match.
Did you do the maths?
I did not.
I actually did do the maths, and it works out as £280 each.
That sounds about right.
You might think it's a bit off, but Andre's in there, so he'd add.
And William Perry.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty hard to call this match because they all just brawl until you get down to 6 people, There's no story at all. Refrigerator Perry here, he looks like he has a massive wedgie. What was he wearing?
He's wearing like a fucking bathing suit, like it's like something out of Baywatch, like he's like the red onesie. What is up with that? It was once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. It was all I could see for the rest of the match, like.
But like he wasn't wearing his size. And it's like
getting to see the dark side of the moon for 9 minutes. It was bad. Did you note that Barry Windham looks like a cross between Hulk Hogan and Randy Quaid from Kingpin? He looks...
Barry Windham?
You mean Dan Spivey?
Yeah. No, Barry Windham, wasn't it? The big, tall, blonde fella with the...
That's Dan Spivey.
Oh, that's Dan... He's the image of Barry Windham. Holy shit.
Yeah. Alright, so Andre looked to be very immobile, actually. Stood dumpset Bruno with no fanfare at all. Then to the final 6, which was Stud Andre, Hart Foundation, Refrigerator Perry, and some bloke. Perry rolls through a double hip toss by the Hart Foundation and retaliates by missing like a double push, but the crowd popped huge for it. It was his big spot.
Perry was over Hugh. He was a megastar on the show. Yeah, big time. His one-on-one with Big John Studd was one of the loudest pops of the whole night. Like
Studd hip tosses Perry over the top rope. Perry asked to shake his hand, but he stood out.
God, you retard, Big John Studd. Like, come
It's
on.
the face. Surely you can trust the face. Monsoon, just as like down to the final four here, Monsoon tells us that Andre always wins battle royals. Thanks. Fucking.
But whose side is he on? Why would you book Big John Studd to be like the huge giant in the match when you've got a huger giant across the ring? Like, booking sense would it like have Big John Studd against William Perry as the last two, and have Perry go over or something. But obviously Andre couldn't go over the top rope or something because he could barely move. But I just thought it made no sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of annoyed me a bit actually.
So the guys, they bump really hard for Andre, like selling chops to the chest, like punches to the face, and they run to the ropes while Andre stays there and he boots them in the shin, that kind of thing. Anvil supercells a boot to the midsection at best and jumps over the top rope. He's like a headless chicken.
Yeah.
He bounced off the ropes and took a kick to the gut, and then did like a 360
Spinner.
he twirled and moved in towards the center of the ring, and then it's like he realized where he was, and then he spun towards the ropes and jumped over. It was amazing.
So Andre press slams, that's being generous, Brett onto Anvil to the outside and wins the match.
Then walks out to zero heat. The fans couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Because Perry was out.
Let's main event him. That's right there.
2 more segments. Piper cut a great promo.
I didn't understand, obviously. If I wanted to come for a picnic tea, I would have packed a lunch. I come to fight, and just as I'm getting into the fighting, you have you and Perry obviously come from the same mold, because you both cheat. I saw Perry pulling John Studd over like that. I saw T rubbing his head, rubbing them gnarly bristles inside my eyes, but nothing he could do could hurt me. There's nothing I said. If he can knock me out, I will retire. I have fight after fight after fight left, and I don't have to cut my hair like an Indian, and I don't have to dye myself black. And I saw you coming in with Joe Frazier in a nice little kilt. Joe Frazier, I never seen you look better in your entire life the waist down.
Susan, a comment, please.
Well, I don't know, Roddy. That sounds like a bunch of blarney to me.
Aren't I the handsomest thing you
Give me
All right,
a
here we go back
break.
with the replay. You take a look at for yourself. And here you will see you blatantly pushing the referee. Obviously, you felt at this juncture that you were losing the matchup. You were losing the fight. Look at this. A blatant shove of the referee.
I wasn't losing nothing. He kept sticking his nose in my business. I come to fight T. I end up having to fight the entire Nassau. He didn't look too sharp there, did he? I like the way he drops on his head. It's too bad I dropped him on his head, because dropping him on his head really doesn't do a lot of damage. That's why Duva had me going mostly for the body. Did you notice the way I was stepping on his tongue as I was boxing him, causing me to slip all over the place? Did you notice the way that there was nothing left to T, how they were holding him and carrying him out, and the big tear in his eye?
The irascible Roddy Piper. Let's take you now, ladies and gentlemen, back to Chicago and Mean Gene Okerlund.
Just banging
Is this
on.
the third?
Yeah.
So he hasn't even shouted or anything. He's literally back up with
It was
Vince,
fantastic.
and he is just going at it because he had to basically say why he isn't going to quit now, because even though he didn't really lose the match, and he had to do a bit of that. But
he sounded very Canadian. How anyone could ever think he was from Aberdeen or wherever he was is ridiculous. But he went back to his racist comment about painting himself black.
He did.
And then just as the camera swapped over to New York or something, or back to the match, you could hear for like a split second him making a monkey noise. I swear to God, it was he's just and I don't need to paint myself black, and he went and then it was just cut. It was cut. I swear to God, I hope I'm not going mental, but that's what it sounded like to me.
Because on the Saturday night's main event before the pay-per-view, there was a bit where it was Cowboy Bob Orton, your boy Ace, and Piper beating up Mr. T, and Orton would hold Mr. T down, and Piper got his belt and started whipping him. So whipping the black guy with a belt, and they got into a lot of trouble over it.
Whipping someone is one, but like making racial slurs while you're doing it is...
Yeah.
Then again, though, you know, if he's been making as many racist comments in the build up to Mania as he had during the show, then fair enough. Like.
Maybe it is the 70s. Racism was alive and well in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Probably still a bit of a holdover, you know?
Until the mid-90s in Ireland. There was one more promo before we went to the main event. It was Mean Gene cutting a promo with some gormless NFL goon who said nothing.
Yeah.
And then Sheik cut a promo. Couldn't hear a word he was saying, but he was awesome, and he called them Gene Mean.
Gene Mean, wish we prove it to all America. Wrestler is better than football player. I wish my partner Nikolai was over. For sure, we're gonna win the battle royal. Look at me, cameraman.
Thank you very much, Iron Sheik. Jimbo Covert from the Chicago Bears.
Iran, number 1. Russia.
Back to Gorilla Monsoon.
Which is great.
Yeah.
He's so awesome.
He's the Scott Steiner of his day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point.
Imagine a debate between those.
About numbers. Do you remember that one on TNA? Like, amazing.
But yeah, again in that promo, you can see they're very stuck for time because I mean, Gene kept trying to wrap it up, and the Sheik was in, doing his poses.
That's actually right, because Sheik was just about to go into a tangent about Hulk Hogan, and Mean Gene just grabbed the mic away from her, and they cut like.
Brilliant. Okay, so the main event in Chicago, we got the WWF Tag Title match. The Dream Team, Beefcake and Valentine, as champion versus the Bulldogs. And I thought it was a pretty good match, actually.
Yeah.
First thing, how can there be a dream team if Dusty's not in there? Mm-hmm. And what about Beefcake and Valentine is so desirable?
That's a tumbleweed moment there, by the way. Luscious Johnny Valiant. I took one look at him, and all I could see was Michael Flatley. That was all I just bit of this, like the state of him.
Did you like his kind of blonde poodle thing going on?
He looked awesome. I'm sure he's a great heel, but it's just once I saw the Lord of the Dance, that was all I could see. Like
Ozzy Osbourne with bleached blonde hair and a pink suit.
Yeah,
pink suit.
You know more than
I actually wrote that down.
Oakland credits the Bulldog success, the teamwork.
Jay, did you appreciate the Beefcake's jacket? It was a leopard print trench coat.
I didn't see this.
It was awesome.
I would have loved it.
It was the same as his tights, but just in a trench coat.
That's amazing.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Straight out of Streets of Rage.
He's a big dude. Like he is 6'6" or something. He's a tall guy.
Good on you, Ed Leslie. Oakland calls them calls the Bulldogs the Cinderella story of the WWF, noting their success. It's not very manly, is it?
No, it's not. Did you notice that Dynamite looked old by this point? He looked a bit haggard. Like.
Yeah, definitely.
He really did. Still ripped though, but looked a bit
He
old.
would have been what? Late 20s, early 30s?
Is that all?
Even. Yeah. He's a young guy. Like.
Holy crap.
He was only in WWF a couple of years. Like. Valentine hits the rarely seen safest tombstone ever with imagine the pile driver but landing forward on your knees instead of jumping back and landing on your arse. And Bulldog hits the second most countered move in history, the running power slam, but only gets a 2.
So what's number 1 then? Okay, well in my opinion, number 1 is the RKO.
Oh yeah? Does that get countered a lot?
Yeah, a lot of pushing.
It has to be just something off the top rope, like a splash off the top rope. You put your knees up or something.
Actually, the axe handle might be up there.
The axe handle.
No, but I'd say the number 1 is the Dominator by Farouk. He hit it maybe once.
Well, that's because no one wants to take that bump. That is nasty looking. Though.
It's onto your tummy again. Because he picked them up and everyone would just slide out inside. And so that's it. Like, you know, there's a very interesting wrist lock into a jackknife atomic drop, if that makes any sense. Like
a wrist lock,
and then he kind of picks them up and then just drops them.
Actually, yes, I made a note about that move, saying, "Why is that move not banned? You can't hit a low blow, but you can hit an atomic drop in wrestling. It makes no sense to me.
I suppose it's
supposed to be on your bum bum, isn't
cheeks, it? Yeah, maybe.
Really?
I think it's a pelvis thing rather than a groin thing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Dynamite at some point hit an absolutely beautiful snap suplex. Yeah. It was like Benoit-esque, obviously because Benoit loved him, but it was beautiful.
I just noted the storyline of the match is the heel veterans, and in general they're in control of the rookie faces.
Valentine was in control. Ed Leslie must have been green as grass. He did nothing in this match. I think he came in for like probably added up about a minute max. Like Valentine did all of the work in this match. Like,
any other notes on this match?
So yeah, it's actually my favourite match. The whole pay-per-view is fast-paced. Lots was going on. As if you compare it, it was 13 minutes to the Mr. T, Piper. You know, much better in terms of like what you're getting for your time.
So this is like 8th match on the card, and it's the first good one.
It is. Yeah.
You really do appreciate it.
Was the finish of this match booked? Because it seemed like a bit of a schmoz. I think it was Bulldog Irish whipped Valentine into Dynamite, and they clashed heads, and they just pinned them because of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I suppose
it would have
Dynamite
worked
has a
if
hard
Bulldog's
head.
partner was black.
Bulldog gets the 3 and the belts. That's the second time tag belts have changed hands at WrestleMania.
I'm sure Dynamite wasn't happy with Davey getting the pin because he pretty much despises the guy. Even at the time, yeah.
Just after the match, Captain Lou Albano and Ozzy Osbourne say a few words, and just I wonder how much Ozzy got paid. He did nothing. He added nothing, and he said about 3 words.
And there's a part of it that where Cassidy goes into the ring. I was like, "What are you doing in there?" Like, she's the only basic commentator. She goes down and she's interviewing Ozzy Osbourne. And are you going to do this? Are you going to follow them around? Is this your new career? And he just goes, yeah. He doesn't know what is going on.
Absolutely. So Ozzy, you're going to come back in their corner. This is going to be a future for you. You heard it first.
Cut from the California portion of the show onto the final hurdle, the LA Sports Arena in LA in California.
That would be right.
Yeah.
So the commentary team was Lord Alfred Hayes, Jesse Ventura, and Elvira.
Tits!
A.K.A. Boobarella.
Boobarella, I like it. She was really hot.
While they're talking, someone or something gets massive heat from the crowd, and we see in the ring, it's Hercules. And nice outfit, man.
Yeah, pretty
cool.
Yeah.
Straight out of Rome. Like. So we got Ricky Steamboat versus Hercules Hernandez. Well, I thought it was a great match. So, any thoughts on the show?
Light streaking. There's a huge space between the ring and the actual crowd. The actual cameras they're using and the lighting is really terrible. So even before you even start the match, when moves are done, there's actually the light is streaking across the video. So the production quality of it is absolutely terrible. It's actually very hard to actually see some of the moves. But again, it starts off really good,
Yeah, definitely lots of leapfrogs.
Yeah.
Hercules Hernandez, is he Mexican?
He looks Irish.
Yeah.
Big, strapping ginger lad.
Yeah. Definitely not Mexican.
No, not at all.
So it was a fast-paced match. Thank you, Dragon. There's a noticeable drop in audio quality from the commentators. It was like they only had 2 headsets, and like Jesse Ventura just had to get in Elvira's grill to talk.
Yeah.
By design, I'd imagine.
All right, we'll switch it. You have to team up with Alfred Hayes.
Yeah.
Get a smooch. The commentators quizzically asked each other about Steamer's red knee ribbon.
I think one of them says it's a whip. I actually think they say, it's like as he's running past them, it whips them. I don't know. It made no sense.
Big elbow from Hercules and an elbow drop twice, and his own Jericho, come on, baby!
Yeah,
that's awesome, yeah.
He only got a 2. I thought he looked quite like Bruiser Brody. This guy with the Hoss Warlord? No, Barbarian.
Barbarian.
Yeah.
Hoss guy, yeah.
Oh yeah, he did go Hoss, didn't he?
Nice heel face divide with the white trunks versus black trunks. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. It's so obvious who's a face and who's heel. Steamboat is an awesome babyface.
Yeah.
The crowd were behind everything he did. Just little things like doing a leapfrog. He just makes it look so good. There was a double leapfrog spot and then a backward elbow that he did to Hernandez that looked really awesome. The greatest move of all time in this match, the Americana, was put on for a good minute.
The finish of the match was Steamer turning the tide and getting a 2-high crossbody on Hercules 4-3. And I noted more of this pace, please. Very pleasant to watch.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricky Steamboat. That was great.
And Jesse Ventura was great in this match. He played a great heel.
So moving on, we got WrestleCrack presents adorable Adrian Adonis versus Uncle Elmer. What the fuck? what is this comedy indie shit doing at WrestleMania?
Yeah, because when I saw Jimmy Hart, I actually just went to the bathroom.
Did you have memory of Uncle Elmer?
No,
because I didn't. I was not expecting him to look like he looked. Because I heard Uncle Elmer, and I immediately thought of like Uncle Ben. Like, I thought it was gonna be
stir fry.
How's your rice?
I was thinking of Adam's family, the Uncle Festus.
Fester.
Adonis is
the state of him.
Yeah.
What's that? What's his gimmick all about?
He was dressed like he's in a Wayne Brothers film. It was like Big Mama here. Yeah, he's got some horrible drag makeup on, so wasn't impressed.
No.
This was a sloppy, slow punch kick match. Hayes has the second big telegraph of the night. Big splash coming. I'm afraid this is the end for Adonis. And the races. So, any points on the match before we move on?
Adrian Adonis kicked off the match by botching Ric Flair's turnbuckle spot. I was like, what a start. He can't go over the rope, and it was downhill from there. The match was shit. All this match is missing is midgets and sock puppets.
Oh, God. So the finish is Adonis hits the top rope, jumping splash punch, which Hayes calls as a kind of a headbutt. Got the job done, didn't it? Thank God it's a quick match, and fuck it, that's the end of that. Like, they got any interviews post match?
Yeah, before we went to the next match, we had a promo with Lord Alfred Hayes and Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan had his bandana on his head at a sideward angle, so it looked like an eye patch.
And it looked like it was kind of cutting off the circulation because the stuff he was saying didn't make any sense.
It was amazing. And I actually made the note that I couldn't concentrate on what Hogan was saying due to Hayes' shifty eyes. Like, he had the mic up to Hogan and he just kept on looking to the side constantly. I couldn't concentrate on anything.
But there's a weird thing about this bandana, like, because even like he's sucking on it when he comes out to the ring as well. So it's a bit odd. Isn't he kind of self-medicating with it?
It was amazing. Hayes actually cuts off Hogan to end the promo.
Wow.
I was shocked. I reckon there was reprehension over that.
Cool. Alright, so next match we got the Funks, which is Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr., aka Hoss Funk.
Was that actually Dory Funk Jr.?
Yeah, that's it.
Because I watched the match, it was like Slamboree 93. And so it's like, what, like 8 years later?
Yeah.
And he had long hair when he wrestled Nick Bockwinkel. In an awesome match, by the way.
Who? Well, it says Dory Funk Jr. on the DVD case.
So okay, must
hopefully.
be. Hoss, what's that all about?
Yeah. Maybe
Hoss.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's like horse, calling someone a horse.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Is it? Oh,
like, he's a horse, like, so he's a beast, like.
Yeah. Beast and an animal. Oh, very nice. So the Funks, Terry Funk and Hoss Funk versus JYD and Tito. They're still mates a year down the line, isn't it?
JYD was over with the fans. He got a large pop.
Definitely. Tito as well. Geez, the fans. Yeah, this is like this baby face that's just, everyone just loves them. Naturally just likes you.
Yeah.
That's great. He never turned heel, did he? Strike Force was face as well. I was worried because Ventura says that the Funks hail from Double Cross Ranch.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great name.
Anyway, Hayes says Junkyard Dog has made his mark. Jimmy Hart, who's managing the Funks here, has a tiny keyboard tie and a white
He was great throughout the show. He was great in the last match as well with Adrian Adonis.
Yeah, Terry Funk in the WWF, that's quite odd. He gets pretty dominated in this match. The faces, have the run of the match. And Terry breaks up the count after Tito hits the flying forearm. And then into a crisscross.
Yes, absolutely.
Stopped after about 10 seconds when Terry knees Tito in the back. There's a bit where Terry Funk, he can't do a delayed vertical suplex, so they kind of quickly reverse it and Tito gets it. Thankfully, since Elvira is the third man, so to speak, at the commentary booth, she only chimes in when asked. Ventura admonishes Elvira for being impartial towards Santana. I thought it was quite funny. There was a dog spot. You guys see the dog spot where Tito is on all fours and he's trying to scoot past Terry Funk, trying to make the hot tag?
I actually liked that spot. I thought it was really good. I felt that the match dragged when Tito was in the match as opposed to Junkyard Dog. And I really expected it to be the opposite way around just because of the difference in the work rate.
Funk takes a back body drop to the outside thanks to JYD. It was like there was no padding outside.
Yeah. Was this 1985, was it?
86.
86. You know, this was 3 years after Terry Funk's first official retirement.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy
he's still going today.
So the finish is when Chico slaps on the figure 4 to Funk, but the ref says, no, you're not the legal man. And in the confusion, Mouth throws the megaphone to Funk, who clocks JYD and gets the 3. There's great selling of the leg by Funk, although Tito only had the figure 4 locked in for about a second. Great selling, makes sense, you know.
That's why he's an all-time great.
Yeah. So we get a promo package for the main event. Take that, WrestleMania 1.
Yeah.
We get taken back to Saturday night's main event where Bundy, with help from Muraco, hits the whole train 3 times. They call it the Avalanche.
The whole train.
And the big splash twice, which they also call the
Avalanche splash, yeah.
Oh, right. So I can punch you and we'll call that the Avalanche, and I can kick you and call that the Avalanche, is it?
From Atlantic City, New Jersey, weighing 458 pounds, King Kong Bundy.
That man is awesome. Not just his extraordinary size, the amazing thing about him is his agility.
Bobby the Brain Heenan sparing no expense in putting in his stable some of the finest wrestlers in the world today.
Just let Hogan get into the ring. Let him put the title on the line. We're ready for a shot at it right now.
Anywhere, anytime, Hogan.
Hogan he'd rather stand out front of a supermarket and sign autographs for kids. He'd rather go visit an old age home than get in the ring with anybody in my family. He knows what would happen. The gold would belong to me.
Hulk Hogan and his title defense against the magnificent Muraco. Off the rope, here it comes. Down with the leg. Oh, wait a minute. Coming in now, look at this. Look at that. The Hulkster has Bobby the Brain up in the air. From behind there's Bundy. Where did he come from? Right out the Hulkster. Another avalanche. Oh, the big splash. I've never seen a Hulkster in this state before. He looks unconscious. I bet his ribs are crushed. I mean, there's no telling what's wrong with him. You know he has to have internal injuries as a result of that kind of damage.
This cage is a specially reinforced cage because an ordinary cage would never have stopped somebody like King Kong Bundy.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene? Just because I get sick, brother, I don't get calm and tired for the job, man. I have a commitment to all those Hulkamaniacs out there to defend this world title.
I'm 6'6", 468 pounds, and I'm the man that should be the world champion. And April 7th in Los Angeles, Hulk Hogan, what you got on that Saturday night main event in Phoenix is nothing compared to what's going to happen in that steel cage.
And when I felt that pain, man, all it did was drive me on, made me train harder.
In 1986, I said I was going to manage the champion of the world, and you're looking at him right here.
You say you're a giant, and that's what it's going to take to stay with me, brother. You better be a giant, and you better be ready, because I'm coming after you, brother.
So it's official, no entrance theme for anyone except for Hulk Hogan. Only entrances that I got to see were in the Battle Royal.
Did you get to see the promo where Hogan had the weights on him and he was doing all the weights?
And he's with Mean Gene here, isn't he?
It was awesome. I thought it was really great. I thought it made Hogan come across as just a real awesome babyface who's willing to go through the pain, brother. And I just thought it was done really well.
It is quite funny though when he's doing the chin-ups, you know, with the 100 pounds on, because it's so obvious he's actually just kind of standing up, standing down on an actual.
So the main events, we got a cage match for the WWF Championship. King Kong Baby Bundy versus Hulk Hogan, who's champion. Do you think Bundy could scale the cage? Like,
no.
You think?
I actually think the cage would fall over. As funny enough as they say how sturdy it is,
counts.
I think he'd fall out of the ring, but I don't think he'd climb over.
Probably, if I was Hogan, I'd probably just let him try scale the cage, then go to the other side and scale it myself.
Yeah.
Be over in a minute. Job done. Yeah. Elvira breaks out.
Tits.
She says, "I'm glad they're in a cage because Bundy's an animal." It's not how long were you waiting to break that out?
Well, she did some comment as well. The cage looked like something she had back at her house or something.
Thank God they actually had the escape via the door as well, so Bundy saved with that one.
Was this the first time they ever used the blue cage?
Yeah, in WWF.
Yeah. Wow.
And they did have a few comments where they weren't sure, if he could get in the cage for the starters because of the size of him. So then they had, if he got in, obviously he could get back in.
Nothing particularly great, but Hogan and by proxy Bundy were really over. They were like, the crowd loved this match, absolutely ate it up. Bundy blades after being thrown into the cage by Hogan. Hogan repeats the cage bump a few times and the crowd love it. Then Hogan does the I can't slam the big man spot, which is pretty cool. Hogan, the face, he never goes for the door. That's fucking awesome. That's what a face does.
Yeah.
I go over the top. Bundy does the whole train and the big splash. Then he unsuccessfully tries to escape the cage.
Well, there's a few funny moments, like when Bundy gets bladed. Elvira kind of thought it was real, because her comments, they actually were quite genuine. She's like, "Stop this match, stop it," and everything. So I was kind of
stop WrestleMania.
Someone's bleeding.
It was quite amusing.
I thought I was going to hate this match. I really did. But I thought Hogan was such an amazing babyface in this match. I thought he sold his ribs really well. I thought commentators put the rib injury over well too. When Bundy was blading, the camera caught him. It's like Heenan knew this was happening, so he kind of walked up to the cage and put his hand in and covered Bundy's face. I thought that you get wrestling, Heenan. You're awesome.
That's why I thought it was funny because how did Elvira not see that?
Yeah.
Hogan hulks up, gets the immortal leg drop and gets the big slam. It looked great.
Yeah.
Hogan shoos Bundy away and escapes over the cage. Bundy tries to, I almost escaped at the same time as you, but honestly he was like 4 seconds.
Yeah.
It wasn't close. Quite enjoyed this match. It was short, there were just spots and the crowd loved it, so all in all,
I definitely give this match a thumbs up. And I thought Heenan did his role really well too, and it seemed like Hogan was just after the match when he got Heenan in the ring, it seemed like he was just going to hit him off the turnbuckle, and like Heenan kind of called it there and he fucked him into the cage and Heenan bumped really, really well. It was awesome. Hogan was great. I'm getting childhood flashbacks watching this. He was awesome.
Well, especially the blue cage as well. Because you remember like the toys he used to have, and it's always the blue cage.
Awesome.
It was awesome.
Who was the celebrity that was on the mic here? Who was that? It was like, Hulk Hogan is the champion of the world, and straight cut to a montage of stills from the video, public domain classic music.
I think it was like Jimmy Lennon or something. He was the big boxing announcer in the 70s and 80s or something.
Okay.
He's the guy that said names twice, like, so he was like, "You're a winner, Hulk Hogan."
Brilliant. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. All right. So that wraps up WrestleMania 2.
Alright, so this is WrestleMania 2, April 7th, 1996. So part 1 in Uniondale, New York. Attendance 16,585. So this was announcers Vince and then Susan St. James. Part 2, Chicago, 9,000 Gorilla, Gene and Kathy Lee. Part 3, Los Angeles, California, 14,500, Jesse, Lord Alfred Elvira. So that would bring it a total attendance of 39,000, which is very small. And they could have had that all in one arena, really.
Didn't they have a deal with like the Trump Plaza or something for this WrestleMania?
They did, yeah.
Yeah,
they did.
3 hotels owned by Trump, and there were
these arenas.
Yeah. I'm sure Vince got paid enough money to cover his losses and ticket revenue by having all 3 in Trump's place, couple of brown envelopes, like.
See, that's why I think if you think about like the numbers there, like you can kind of see it in LA, especially. It's hard to describe. It's not empty, but it's kind of like a house show or something.
It did look like a house show.
It's very weird to describe it, but if you think about it, like say averaging about like over 10,000 per venue, like that sounds ridiculous.
So results wise, I'll just run them now real quick. In New York, we had Muraco and Orndorff battle to a double count out at 4:33 in a nothing brawl. Savage Valentine's himself over George Steele at 7:06. Jake Roberts jobs out George Wells at 3:05. Mr. T beats Roddy Piper via DQ in a 4th round in a terrible boxing match. In Chicago, Moolah pins Velvet McIntyre in under a minute. Corporal Kirchner pins Volkoff in a flag match at 134. Andre beats NFL players and random wrestlers in a battle royal. And British Roddy Magoos become the tag champions in enjoyable encounter with Valentine and Beefcake.
Definitely match of the night.
Yeah. And in LA, see 12 matches on this card. And Steamboat pins Hercules with a high cross body at 7:33. Grandma Adonis pins
Uncle Ben
in a disgraceful match at 3:06. Jobber Funks actually get a sneaky win over JYD and Tito at 11:42. And Hulk Hogan retains the WWF title in a really enjoyable steel cage match with Bundy at 10:16.
Now, the whole pay-per-view, as in the order they go through, venue 1, venue 2, venue 3.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you like it? Would you prefer if there was a bit of a mix?
Yeah, because I mean, I think there should be, like, they're skipping over and back with the promos, and I'd say they're doing so badly at coordinating that. I'd say they probably maybe wanted to, but because of the syncing of it, I don't think they would have been able to do it. As we referred earlier, but you're not actually seeing the matches in sequential order. So I would have liked to have seen it, because I think the concept in one way, was interesting on paper. Obviously, get as many seats in the house, book them all out, but it's all over the place.
It's probably before pay-per-view was the kind of main revenue source, and it would still actually get people into the arena, like physically there. So they wanted to do it in these 3 places, but only had 1 show to do it in.
And you can sell more sponsors at the time, because you can basically break up the sponsors per venue as well. So there was a whole lot of kind of working there, and then you're able to get each different type of celebrity there. So if you actually see in New York, like we got Joan Rivers, so if you actually look at the different contingents, LA we got all the kind of movie type people. Chicago then you got the footballers. So it's interesting that he literally tried to draw on every part of every industry to get as many people in. So it's an interesting strategy.
Mm-hmm. So overall, what did you think of the pay-per-view?
I would say a lot worse for me than WrestleMania 1, just in terms of it was all over the place.
You hated this show more?
I just feel this is so badly coordinated. I just think what the big downfall for me was even not so much the matches, it was just this kind of coordination problem they had. And I think for me, the fact that I'm only coming away with 2 matches I enjoyed, which is Hogan's and obviously British Bulldog versus the Dream Team, the rest of them rubbish.
It did seem very much all over the place. It seems like they were trying to push technology too far, and they just didn't have the equipment and the know-how to actually pull off a simulcast in 3 different places. Like, you can do it in 2000 or 2001 with WCW, but not in 1986. When pay-per-view wasn't even ready yet. TV shows or whatever, they like some theatres, it's a closed circuit event, so theatres wouldn't. They could show it live, they wouldn't, but otherwise people aren't seeing this event until you bring out the VHS. So, and the dirt sheet will take a month to come out, so you could just get a tape and distribute it to different TV networks if you wanted. So, them trying to pull off 3 simultaneous live thing, it didn't work, and obviously it was a sham because they never did it again.
Well, I think it's the time zone, because obviously if you think the distance between, we're going from one coast to coast. But was this the actual first pay-per-view? Because I read about it. Is this recognised as the first WrestleMania?
The first, technically there was a little pay-per-view audience for WrestleMania 1, but the first pay-per-view was actually the Wrestling Classic. So they thought they got their feet off the ground with that, and so they'd be ready for WrestleMania 2, but obviously not. They just put on too much on their plate, Knowing what you know now, would you have rather been in the crowd in New York, Chicago, or LA?
Ooh. You know what? I'd go for the one with the Hogan match. I just thought that match was so awesome.
LA, because I could see Steamboat and Hogan. That would be the worst.
Definitely. LA myself as well, because you got the main event with Hogan, and you got to see Steamboat as well, so that's a winner.
And Elvira.
and very nice. So I did notice that of the 3 venues, each one got a real workhorse. New York got Savage, Chicago got British Bulldogs, and LA got Steamboat. And just like that, each got kind of one kind of main event as well. So Mr. T and Roddy Piper in New York. I suppose the Battle Royal was pretty over, to give it to Andre in Chicago and Hogan in LA. So but that means that you're having your main events a third way and 2/3 into the show.
That's one of my major problems with this show. Overall, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was far better than WrestleMania 1, other than the obvious problems caused by having it in 3 different places, breaking up commentary teams, adding random women who know nothing about the show. But it's just like the match quality is all, normally a wrestling pay-per-view, you build up match quality and importance. But in this show, it was like peaks and troughs. So you'd build up to the big boxing match main event, and then it would drop and you're down to fucking Uncle Elmer. And then you're back up to the big battle royal, and then you're back down to Adrian, Adonis, or whoever, So the show was kind of a bit all over the place. I like the fact that there was actually a world title match at WrestleMania. That was a nice touch. And
first ever WWF title match Mania, first ever Steel match.
A lot of unnecessary celebrity involvement, but that just goes to prove that WrestleMania was never about wrestling. It was always about mainstream media and celebrity involvement.
It's great to have Savage, Steamboat and Roberts all on the winning team now. So all these shows will be bumped up in quality because they're all here now. So that's great. There's 3 reasons why we're watching these shows, So, alright, let's do a couple of awards. Alright.
Ooh.
Sorry, Ook, how did you like the show?
That was great.
Award time. So, who, the Showstopper Award, who was the pay-per-view MVP for you?
Ooh.
I think
Piper did great throughout the show. Yeah. I think Jesse Ventura was one of the MVPs.
This is a different viewing. So if you took out 3 of Piper's promos, because I didn't get him cutting any promos.
Right,
I got a promo package at the start. It wouldn't have come off like that. So I'm going to go with Steamboat. I really loved his match with Hercules.
His match was better than I thought it was going to be.
It was fast-paced and it was short, and it made me feel good about this is why we're watching it.
Yeah. I'm going to say Jesse Ventura. He added a lot to the main event and to the Bunks match, and Jesse Ventura, I thought he was great.
No?
Yeah. I'll probably go with Hogan,
with his eye patch,
he did have a lot of promos as well, which were really funny, and he actually had a really good one with Jesse. I don't know if we got to talk about that one, but it was Jesse had a great line. He's like, "The good guys don't always win," and I just thought that was kind of cool.
He was so awesome on the show.
That is pretty cool. Okay, the Rob Terry Award. So who's the biggest Roddy Magoo here? Biggest jacked body?
I think for me it's got to be Muraco.
Yeah, as you said,
he was fucking ripped.
Incredible Hulk job,
Yeah, him. Orndorff was pretty ripped as well,
But he felt like Marco was sweating the whole way. He was saturated in sweat. You're thinking, what is the side effects of what you're thinking?
I'll go for Orndorff, but it's definitely battling it between that opener. Holy God.
Steamboat, is nothing to shy away from either. He was pretty ripped,
He was, but I just don't think he was.
He wasn't his Mania 3 ripped,
Yeah, he wasn't at quite the mass of Muraco and Orndorff.
I'll go with the world's strongest man, Ted Orsi.
Amazing! The world's most average man.
And the Virgil Award, worst person on the card.
I think for me it's a tie between Susan St. Who and Adrian Adonis. I despised him. He fucked up the flare, the turnbuckle spot. Jesus Christ.
I was going to say George Wells. He was just in a job.
I thought he sold the snake really well with the foaming at the mouth and stuff like that.
He did, but he can't compare to Susan St. Clair. She made me angry at the tape. Because she was obviously an ignorant mark that knew nothing about wrestling and had no business.
She wasn't as bad as the blonde bird who admitted more than once in the show this is their first ever wrestling show.
Kathy Lee,
I think by later in the show they didn't interject with commentary. They were like, "What do you think of her? What do you think?" As opposed to her, it's like her and Vince. And
well, I'm amazed they didn't get Joan Rivers on the mic. I mean, she would be actually able to talk, and she was there. Why wasn't she for those matches on the mic? Because she could contribute a lot. And always has, she's quite vocal. And,
she'd probably rip everyone apart though.
But I think at least she should have some.
She'd be a great heel then.
She has some colour commentary or something.
She's a Canadian.
Yeah. Is it you're calling it St. Clair? Is it St. James St. Clair?
St.
Who?
St. James.
Susan St. James and Busty St. Clair, isn't it?
It doesn't say Susan St. Clair. It's a matter. So we're gonna get a thing for the Tubbies.
Tubby toast.
Alright, time for the final segment of the night. This is the Wrestling is Awesome segment.
Yes, it is.
You're not supposed to interject when he does that.
Wrestling is awesome.
Awesome!
Awesome!
I came to play, there's a price to pay. Time for you to get down on your knees.
So this week we see Randy Savage doing the thing in 2002 Spider-Man as the awesome prize fighter Bonesaw.
Oh, yeah, this is the Macho Man Randy Savage, a.k.a. Bonesaw McGraw, doing the Spider-Man movie right over here in, California. Bonesaw McGraw, the toughest guy that ever lived, and everybody's got confidence in me because they put up money, and I back it up because we don't have to pay anybody $3,000 because I beat up everybody, you know the deal? Until they get this unknown guy. There's always one person that ruins the party, and we got this guy called Spider-Man. Beat him up, knock him out. Sam Rainey's taught me so much. It's unbelievable, man. Just follow him around. Everybody knows he knows the deal, you know what I mean? And we just kind of like, kind of have blind faith. You know, it's just the opposite of wrestling. They send you out there on your own. It's kind of live at 5, but over here, he's got that POV. I've learned some 3 letters to put together now. You know what I mean? I'll be directing pretty soon, I think. You know, I don't know. These guys know what they're doing. Columbia Pictures, and it's pretty sweet. I'm just glad to be a part of it. Get me over here. I don't know, man. I'm not acting. I'm actually trying to beat these guys. You know, I'm into my own thing. I guess that makes me a good actor when you get into the role. You know, I woke up this morning and somebody said, "Hey, Randy, how you doing?" I said, "Hey, Bonesaw, how you doing?" You know what I mean? So I'm into the character. You know what I mean? If that's a good thing, that's cool. If it's an ego problem that I have, then that's bad. Bonesaw.
So that wraps up another OSW review. I think that went pretty well. I'm quite happy about that. Next time, we're going to do the first ever meeting between the 800-pound monster, Andre the Giant, and Hulk Hogan, doing the business. This is your host, Jay Hunter, with Mr. OSC.
Yeah.
Neil.
Yeah.
And V1.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if to make you laugh.
Alright.
Should have went
It's time indeed for our feature here this week on Primetime Wrestling. As we promised you earlier on, World's Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan
against my man Hercules.
With the chains.
Yes. Now you people are going to hear Hogan at a particular point in this match give up when Hercules hoists him up on his back.
Highly unlikely. Let's go to ringside for our feature match with Hulk Hogan.
Is Miss Betty here yet?
I don't know, Jess, but I can tell you where the power is. It's right here. This jam-packed arena. Listen to this extraordinary demonstration of Hulkamania.
Yeah, Hulkamania, that's so fun. I think the dude's lost it. I think the man is confused. He is now finally facing a challenger who's just as strong as he is in that ring.
What a roar as Hogan points the bad finger at Hercules. Hulk Hogan preparing for, I believe, what he described as his ultimate title defense.
Well, I'll tell you, if he thinks ripping off a T-shirt is going to intimidate Hernandez, he better think again what he's got left to think with.
Hot Hulkamania, here it comes again. Oh yeah, one more time. And here comes one for you, Jesse.
Hey, I don't care about that, McMahon. Crowds don't win matches. Hogan's going down.
We're back with the World Wrestling Federation title defense of Hulk Hogan, beating challenger Hercules Hernandez.
Well, I'll tell you, Hernandez is wasting no time. We're going to find out right now, McMahon, who the stronger man is in a test of strength.
Look at those two titans colliding in the ring.
And Hogan's going down. He's on a knee. I can't believe it. Look at, he's turning to the referee. He's begging. Champion Hulk Hogan's begging to Hercules. Please, he's saying, let me up, Hercules. I'm looking bad.
I don't think that's what he's saying or thinking. Right now, Hulk Hogan's trying to make his way right back up to the top. And here he comes. The Hulkster back up, now up high. And it looks like Hercules is going down.
I don't know, McMahon. Ooh, brilliant move on the part of Hernandez. Drove that head right into Hogan's chest. And look at that. Picks him up like a sack of potatoes. Wham, into the corner. I think without a doubt, Hernandez has proved he's the stronger man.
Maybe he has, Jesse, thus far, but the match's still young. It's not over yet.
Well, it definitely is not over, McMahon, but the big Hercules is going to work with a big series of forearm and elbow, and he's got the champ shaking his head.
Hercules hauls him out of there. Throw Hogan out front, reversal to the buckle, clothesline by the champion.
Well, Hogan turned the tide there, a quick move that might just have saved him, McMahon.
Right hand. The Hulkster now with the momentum. He may have hurt his hand on that occasion. Hercules whipped to the rope, headed it off, missed with a clothesline from the other, and a high knee right on the butt of the jaw. Oh, and what's happening now?
Now what is the purpose? Hogan chasing Heenan outside the ring?
Bobby Heenan running for his life. Heenan in the ring. And he's heading out of there as fast as he can. And look at this. The boot to the face. And the Hulkster once again has the momentum.
Hogan has the early momentum right here. Hercules has got to do something. Hercules has to do something to change this.
Elbows. Oh, he just missed.
And that's exactly what he just did.
Now, I've got to say, Jesse, that's an impressive physique, but the wrong move. Why is it Hernandez on Hulk Hogan? That's stupidity.
That's not stupidity. He's got the champion crawling on the mat. Hogan's eating canvas out there.
Hercules Hernandez in control of the moment. Sets up the champion. Whips it to the far side. And down to the canvas once again. Champion Hulk Hogan and Hercules.
You know, Hogan looks good on his knees. I've seen him on his knees in 2 or 3 occasions now in this match, and he looks good like that.
Bobby Heenan hoping that his investment pays off here tonight on Saturday night's main event.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's Dave Hebner refereeing again now. He got smashed in the last bout. What is that thick-headed Jack Tunney, president of the World Wrestling Federation, allowing Hebner to come out and referee a title match like this again?
It could be because Hebner might even be tougher than you, Jesse.
This is ridiculous. How can Hebner, he probably can't even count to 3 at this point in time.
Hebner, of course, disqualified both participants earlier on. He might very well disqualify Hernandez if some of these shenanigans keep up. But keep in mind, the Hulkster has behind him the thousands upon thousands who are in this jam-packed arena rooting for Hulkamania all the way.
Well, I'll tell you, McMahon, they can root all they want. There's Hulkamania right there. Wham!
Knee right to the back. Hercules once again in control. Oh, look at that. That's got to be painful.
Oh, I'll tell you what. I can feel Hogan's vertebrae cracking and snapping all the way back here.
Hernandez, again, sensing victory. Perhaps a bit of overconfidence here, Jesse.
Well, I'm not sure about overconfidence. I think he's definitely making a mistake not staying on Hogan. He's got him hurt.
Hernandez now, look. He's trying to get him up in the backbreaker. He has him.
He's got him up. He's got him up in the Hercules backbreaker.
Perhaps a new champion just moments from now.
Hogan shaking his head. I heard him, McMahon. He's saying I quit. He's saying I quit. Hogan submitting. He's submitting. We've got a new champion of the world, McMahon. I heard it.
Wait a minute. Referee Dave Hebner.
What?
No, sir, the match is not over.
McMahon, I heard the man. I heard the man.
You got too much of that fake hair down over your ears.
It's obvious that Hebner can't hear nothing. He's had his marbles scrambled. Hogan quit.
Hogan has been the only man to have sustained that tremendous backbreaker applied by Hercules Hernandez.
This is an atrocity, McMahon. I heard the man quit. Cover him, Hernandez. Finish it with a 3.
We have 2, and Hogan kicks out, but with authority. The champion, feeling the electricity, trying to get, a right hand by Hernandez. Look what's happening. The Hulkster coming alive.
This is robbery. This is total robbery. The man quit.
Hernandez is frustrated. And look at champion Hogan coming around. Hulkamania is coming right at Hernandez.
I just can't believe the man has gotten up from that backbreaker.
Another right hand. Another. Hogan in a rope. Oh, what a right that was. Off the rope again. And there the elbow. Crushing into the forehead of Hernandez. Hulk Hogan now with Hernandez to the buckle. I'll take its toll. Here's one coming up to the buckle again. Hogan unrelenting now. Challenger Hernandez.
What's the matter with that referee Hebner? He not only destroys the whole match, Hogan's got him by the hair and Hebner's doing nothing about it.
Hernandez brains have to be scrambled. Reverse knife edge. The challenger down. The champion perhaps cincing victory. Hulk Hogan with Hernandez on his feet, maybe not for long. Whip to the rope. Big boot to the face. Hogan off the rope. Drops the leg. 300 plus pounds. The cover. 2. Yes,
I don't believe it. You know, I'll tell you something, McMahon. I know exactly what this guy was talking about now. When he says the power lies here in the palm of his hand, it means he's got that referee in the palm of his hand to save his title.
Boot to the face. Hogan here, cincing victory. Quickly now, to the rope. The champion setting up that powerful leg drop right across the chest. Hulk Hogan on to victory.
World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion, Hulk Hogan.
What a victory for the champion, Hulk Hogan. And what an ovation for this extraordinary athlete.
Well, you know, McMahon, I'll tell you something. I think it's a real sad case when a referee can determine the outcome of an athletic event, which is exactly what I'm talking about in the case of this match. I heard Hogan quit, and that idiot, incompetent referee Dave Hebner allowed the match to continue. I know what they mean when he says the power lies in the palm of the hand. Now, he's got referees and Tunney and everybody in his back pocket.
There is no way that you could have heard anything because the roar of this crowd is absolutely deafening. It's a celebration of Hulkamania.
I'll tell you, McMahon, in NFL football, they've gone to instant replay. Maybe it's time we go to that too. Maybe it's time we find out truthfully if Hogan did concede like I maintain he did.
What a physique. My goodness, what a... Listen to it. Listen to this crowd.
You're ridiculous, McMahon, because you're totally caught up in Hulkamania. You're the most biased announcer I've ever heard in my life.
Look at that physique. Yours would pale by comparison. You have the audacity to refer to yourself as the body.
Wait a minute, McMahon. It is not me that calls me the body. It's the world that calls me the body.
And the world calls Hulk Hogan champion. Yes, indeed.
You know what makes me sick? This is wrestling, and this guy's out here like he's in an Atlantic City beauty contest, posing away.